Campbell.
Sean Campbell, nice to meet you. Okay. So let's see, I can't remember the exact date of the fire, but that Sunday afternoon that I showed up on scene, it was obvious that there was a panic in the air kind of a thing, and I thought immediately back to the Marinos fire. I don't know if you were in the air. You were. So
I've been around a little while, so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And we had significant issues on that fire with reports of delayed response, but there was literally a delay in notification to the 911 system because so many people had thought 911 had already been called, which was not the case. So we were sitting at the fire station unnotified of the Marinos fire for estimated 20 minutes.
Oh my God. Okay. And what year was that?
It's a good question. I don't recall off the top of my head.
I'm kind of feeling like it's 97 or 98 or something.
They all blend together for me. So I could get that information for you if you need.
Okay, and I'll look it up too.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And so with that kind of 2020 hindsight, you know, when you get a call or a notification rather that there's a fire on the plaza or something, did that create any kind of additional concerns for you, or, you know, did it ring bells?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the east side of the plaza is one of our significant target hazards. I would equivalent, that's not the right word. I would put it equal to like the Humboldt Creamery building, where it's been, there's been construction changes in it. It's been around a long time. So it's one of those buildings that we like to walk through and familiarize ourselves with, because unfortunately a small fire can rapidly turn down an entire block burning down. And we look at the history on the plaza, and we've had significant fires. It's really the reason why fire departments exist, are these significant fires that burn city blocks down or entire cities down in the 1800s. That's why fire departments exist all over the world, is because of those types of things. And the east side of the plaza are one of those buildings. It's very easy for fire to spread rapidly through it, and it's difficult when we have limited staffing to get ahead of these fires. So we've done everything we believe that we can do to try and get the correct amount of resources there in the shortest amount of time, be familiar with the building, and so forth. One of the issues, though, is essentially 911 being notified. And when this fire came in, we've been told that some of the cell providers, their systems were down because of the power outage from PG&E, the PSPS, and therefore cell phones didn't work. So the first I had heard about that, though, was days after the fire. We thought that we had a quick notification because someone went to the fire station, alerted the firefighters that were on duty at the Arcata station, and one of our captains that was on duty got on his portable radio, advised dispatch that there was a working fire on the east side of the plaza. And so everything seemed, from our perspective, to be really quick as far as the notification went. But days after the event, I learned from a homeless gentleman that spends a lot of time behind the east side of the plaza that he reportedly notified or tried to notify us 10 minutes prior, but was not successful. He went to the fire station. He believes firmly that it was 10 minutes where he attempted to bang on doors and windows of the fire station at Arcata and had no response. And so I had a conversation with him. I talked to him about, did he use the emergency phone that's out in front of the fire station? He said he did not. He didn't recognize that it was even there. He had asked, there was discussion about, do we have a doorbell? And we used to have a doorbell on the front of the fire station, but it had been stolen 3 times, so we stopped putting the doorbell back out there. So, that is something that maybe we can look into for people. But the key is that they were eventually able to get a hold of the firefighters upstairs by banging on the doors and windows. And one of our captains had heard the yelling outside of people screaming about something. So when he stood out on the balcony, he saw the fire, and he immediately enacted what he felt was the appropriate plan, which was notifying our dispatch and getting resources coming.
Okay, right. And so my understanding was that you guys were already on a fire somewhere else from that
but not from
location.
this station.
Oh, not from the station.
No, our Mad River engine was on an extinguished fire in Arcata.
Oh, okay.
And I was at that incident as well, and we heard the first we heard of the east side of the plaza fire was when our captain got on the radio and announced there's a fire on the plaza.
Okay, got it. Okay, let's think here. So by your estimate, how long would it have taken for this situation to become a Marino's situation if it had been unattended?
In my opinion, another minute or two, we would have lost the east side of the plaza. This fire was already rapidly spreading. It was in the subfloor, which we didn't know. It's an unusual space for a fire. We've had a few. I can think of one at Arcata Liquors where it was in the subfloor. If the crew would have attacked it from the front of the building versus from the alley side, that would have been too long of a delay, because if you think about, I don't know if you saw where the fire was, where it's burned, if they would have went all the way through Big Blue Cafe to the back of the building where the offices are, they would have still not come in contact with the fire, so then they would have went down the hallway towards the alley and still would have had limited fire all that time, which would have taken minutes to stretch the hose lines and push through the smoke. That fire would have been spreading underneath them the whole time, and they could have potentially had some floor collapse. They could have had other things go wrong. So in our opinion, everything worked out really well. You couldn't have lined the cards up any better for us, as far as we had an early notification. Our firefighters were in station. They weren't out on a training assignment or on another call.
They were literally right around the corner.
Literally right around the corner, so they immediately went into action by going down and putting on their bunker gear. They pulled the engine to the exact place where they should have pulled it, which is very atypical for a response like this. We normally would have gone to the front side of the building, that's the address side, but the fact that they had eyes on the fire allowed them to make that decision right up front. And they were able to get quick access to where the fire was. So
okay, great. Question regarding PG&E's part in this. What would you say they could have or should have done differently, perhaps from a safety perspective, in terms of, I mean, I don't know, because the guy came here and turned off the gas. I'll show you a photo of him back there with the gas and the burnt generator. But yeah, just in terms of planning for the future, if we have these PSP events.
I don't know that I can give input on what PG&E could have done to prevent this.
Do you need to go?
No. We'll pause the interview
Maybe
for a
I
minute.
need to go.
It's just a medical aid. I'm not sure where they're going. I can't. PG&E on this incident for us was great. We requested they come out and secure utilities so that we could make the building as safe as possible. They were here quickly. They did what they were asked, and from my perspective on this incident, their service was fine. Now, on the bigger issue, I know there's a lot of questions from the community about, things I've heard is how they've prevented one fire, yet another fire started as a different result of the PSPS, which, I guess that could be argued. If the power wasn't out, they wouldn't have had to try to use the generator to save their products. But
true statement, but still,
it's I don't know how you cast blame one way or another. I know the state and Gavin Newsom is looking into that, and the Regulation Utilities Commission. They're looking into all that stuff on how things can be done better. Do we want to continue doing these? So way above my pay grade and my expertise. I don't know that just because the power went out, it created a significant issue for us. I think the big issue was that so many people were affected. It created a small sense of panic in the reality that people you saw that running to get their cars filled up because there's this planned outage that no one knows how long. I feel if I had to give an opinion on anything, I would say that the changing information is hard to plan for when it's constantly changing. So I mean that's how I felt affected as a
that's fair.
Community member at home, and
that's the most common critique I've been getting.
Like really, it would have been almost easier for me to just have the power go out and me not know when it's coming back on, because then at least I'm just going to address it. But like the change was hard to manage that, so it did create a sense of panic for people. But on a good note, it also maybe allowing us to be a little more prepared for real disasters such as a large earthquake, and hopefully people are taking their home preparedness kit a little more serious now, because they saw just how kind of crazy it got with the power going out for a few days. So but as far as back to your original question, I don't know that it really had an impact on this. I mean, when the power goes out, people do what they do, right? They use candles, which is never a good idea. They put generators in their garages, or in this case, the back of their business. They're just trying to get through the incident.
Just trying to make it through.
You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And if you don't know that that is a significant safety issue, then you're not going to change your behavior. So I would say that we would probably be able to do a better job of educating people. We were definitely reactive like everyone else. We were trying to get as much information out there as we could to try and educate people about the do's and don'ts. So, I think that as emergency services, I don't know that I would put the blame on PG&E. I would say that as a community, we need to figure out a way to educate people to be more safe and be prepared for these things if they're going to be the new norm.
Absolutely. And on that note, what's like the number one tip you would say regarding generator use for people who are generally unaware of what to do? They just we want the lights on, quick, go buy a generator.
Yeah, really contact an electrician and find out what is the safest way to use a generator, because it's not as simple as just don't put it in your garage or don't hot fuel it, meaning fuel it while it's running. You want to let it cool down so the exhaust cools down. It's not as simple as just plug your items into a generator, because there's different size generators and different appliances have different draws. In this case, it's really unusual because they were trying to address certain safety issues at Big Blue. They were trying to keep the exhaust outside. They had it in an area that was almost all concrete, but the generator vibrated over. And generators will do that. They'll just kind of, by the fact that they're running, will vibrate across the floor.
Yeah.
And they
So it was unattended then.
Unattended, yeah. But, I'll be honest, I'm not attending my generator in my backyard that's running to keep my freezer, but I do make sure it's in a position where it's not going to move and vibrate over and come in contact with combustibles.
It's difficult to babysit a generator when you have other things to do.
Right. Yeah, you're trying to cook in the dark and all those things. So that's
it's a tough spot.
It is. It's a tough spot, and I feel bad for all the businesses that were affected here. We're trying to do everything we can to support them, and hopefully ensure that they have the least amount of loss. These are people's life investments that are, to have a business like this. So we don't want to see them go out of business because of such a thing. But we also have talked about trying to get the business owners together once things settle down and they kind of get back on their feet, so that we can hopefully gather information from them about how to teach other business owners in our fire district on how to be more prepared. Do you have adequate insurance? Do you have the right type of insurance? If your power goes out, what are the things you can do to be more safely prepared to deal with that and protect your business? So we're going to work on that. I've got a couple of the business owners that are ready to go and lead the charge on that. So hopefully we're doing all we can to try and prevent